morning, everybody. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't get up this early very often, but my brain decided we're working right now. Today we are installing the PERRIN electronic boost control solenoid. This is one of those parts that when I built the engine, it was like you need this, that, this, that, and then I was like, but I'm on a budget. I gotta be careful. I didn't want to do this. I didn't have this planned. This wasn't part of my plan. And this is one of those parts that wasn't a necessity until later, and I got to find out the hard way. So, a boost controller controls the amount of manifold pressure by changing the amount of pressure going to the wastegate. There are two types of boost controllers, mechanical and electronic. Mechanical gated boost controllers offer up to 2 boost settings set by the driver and control view. So this is an electronic one. So it's basically controlling, keep the wastegate closed, send all the boost. Let's get that manifold pressure up. That means more horsepower, more turbo fun. The stock one maxes out at about 20 pounds, we're finding out. So when I slap this in, Marin already tuned it, so it should be way more than that. So should be interesting when we find out. Love me some PERRIN boxing. We've got our instructions. I already kind of took a look at these. This includes the hardware needed. And then in here we have the actual electronic piece itself. And then what I like about this kit is it comes with all the hoses, so we don't have to go to the auto parts store. We have 3 ports on the back of this. We are going to be doing the internal wastegate setup because that's what our stock turbo is. We have our normally open port, which is a port that has a hose that goes to the boost source. We have our common port, which is a hose that goes to our wastegate actuator. Then we have our normally closed port hooked up to our intake system, so it's filtered air. I did speak with Marin, who is my tuner / friend, and helps me with everything with this car as far as keeping it running right. He said that this normally closed port we can leave open for now and deal with that later. He said so we can test it out. This is going to be pulling in air from the atmosphere, so that's why you run a line to the intake system so it's filtered air and clean. But just to test it for today, I'm going to go ahead and leave it open, and maybe we'll get to doing that and making sure that there's a line that goes to the intake. Magnetic bowl. I always have a link in the description to some common tools that you can use. This is the boost control solenoid cover right here. I do have the PERRIN one that's aftermarket. The 10mm bolt on the side of it. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling it off to get the stock one out. On the back of here, we also have a nut. And on the far side over here, there's a 12mm. We can see our stock boost controller right here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the plug, unclip it. Just so we can see everything, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this nut off, get this out of the way. For video's sake. The stock boost controller, we've disconnected the wire from it. Now we have our port that goes to the intake over here, and then when you look inside down in here, we have a T that goes to the boost source and one to the wastegate actuator, and that is all 3 ports that we need to touch today. So we're going to be rerunning all of those. Let's go ahead and get our boost controller set up with the hardware. I want to go ahead and get this ready before we start disconnecting things so you guys have a clear understanding. So we're going to go ahead and go to the normally closed port and hook up this 1/4 inch adapter, because this is going to go to the hose that goes to our intake. 5/16 barb fittings. We're going to put this on our normally open port, and our common port hookup. Thread this in by hand. We are ready. Next part of the process, we're going to connect our hoses. I have some silicone lubricant. I'm just going to put a tiny bit in this hose right here. A little bit goes a long way. I'm going to put my 1/4-inch hose. Just like that. Thanks to the lubricant, we can work it all the way on. The other hose it comes with comes with the 5/16 fittings. We're gonna need to put zip ties on these to make sure they stay on, but we are gonna have to cut this. So I'm gonna leave this off for now and kind of get situated. But to do that, we gotta disconnect all of the hoses from the stock setup. Don't forget that normally there would be a top mount intercooler here, but I do have a front mount intercooler, so the turbo and everything is exposed much more than normal, making my life much easier right now. Yeah, we do have some hoses that are in the way from our Killer B air oil separator, but it should be much easier. So what you would do is you would detach the top mount intercooler, pull it off, and then you can get to where you need to go. We are in good shape. This is the T that goes to our boost source on the right and our wastegate actuator on the left. So you can see that little nipple right there in the turbo boost source. We look at our wastegate, this guy right here, and there's another nipple right in there that you can't really see on video. Now all we gotta do is grab our inlet or our hose to our intake, wiggle it, and just like that, we've got the stock set up out of here. Let's take our new guy and mock it up. This is gonna go on here like so, and then we can run our lines to our turbo. All hooked up, zip ties on the top. We've got our boost source line hooked up there. We've got our wastegate actuator deep in there. We've got our intake. That adapter that comes in the kit just plugs right into my PERRIN intake, ready to go. Now I can bolt up the boost controller to the cover with the supplied bolt and see how she runs. Snug. We got our line going up top to our intake right here. Everything's plugged in nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie this plug later. Just wanna make sure everything runs right before we get any farther. Let's go ahead and start her up. Smells really good today. It's because for July 4th on Friday we also have some new air fresheners. You guys got to smell these things. The period is the CS logo. Came out super rad. It almost looks like a price tag, so make sure you guys grab one of these too. I know you'll like it. Wait for it to get to operating temp, and then I'm gonna start logging for PERRIN so I can send him what the car does. He said it should be fine, but it is gonna make a ton more boost, so we'll see here in a sec. I'm gonna wait for it to get to about 185 on the coolant, cruise around a little longer, let the oil warm up, and see what happens. see what PERRIN says. That's what 22 pounds of boost feels like. It gets, every pound you go up, you can kind of feel it in your shoulders. This car is insane. When it hits 22 and you let off, it makes the craziest sound. I can't wait for more. That guy's still on. The other one's still on. This guy's still on. Cool. Just pulled this off the tripod, working on the Impreza tonight. Making some good progress. I did talk to PERRIN. He said the tune looks good. We need to get to the dyno soon and button things up with the car, how it's running. But he said it is making 2.5 to 4 PSI at redline. More. 2.5 to 4 PSI more at redline. This is a small part that makes a big difference, and I'm really pumped on the outcome. So if you guys need a PERRIN electronic boost controller, I'll have a link in the description if you guys want to order one. If you guys haven't joined our private Facebook group, Karma Speed, that is the community and the brand on this channel that you see in the garage. We're a bunch of car enthusiasts who are positive, help each other out, and just create some conversation. So if you guys want to join the conversation Facebook group, if you guys want to see other people's cars on the channel and have your own posted, hit up Karma Speed on Instagram. Hope you guys learned something from today's video, and hope you have a good night.